up, guys? Matt with Motorworks here. And in today's video, we're just going to go over the process in which to replace your air filters on your BMW K1300S. This may also work on the K1200. I'm not exactly sure. One thing before you get started, this does have two air filters. Okay, so if you only got one air filter, say you ordered it offline and they only sent you one air filter, this job requires two. There's one on each side, both the left and the right has an air filter on that side. So check your parts before you start digging into the bike. Tools that we're going to need for today, or for in this video, there are very little tools that I actually use, possibly a screwdriver here and there, but really you don't need any tools to access the air filters. And since I'm only going over air filter replacement, if you want to know how to get the bodywork off to access the air filters, you have to check out one of my videos. I'll attach a link somewhere up here or up here, and that way you can see how to actually access where the air filters are. Alright, now air filters are kind of a big deal, and it's something that you should really stick to the maintenance schedule. I have in my phone here when you should actually replace them. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but it says every 12,000 miles you should replace those air filters in your bike. That's something I wouldn't go much past 12,000 miles. Actually, I might even, depending on the situation, if you're in a dustier condition, I might even consider replacing that ahead of time, or before 12,000 miles, I should say. That way you're making sure that you have nice clean air going into your engine. Dirty air filters can cause poor runnability problems, you name it. But we're going to go over the process in which to replace those. So check out the video, and thanks for watching, guys. Alrighty, guys, so for the sake of the video, the procedure is the same for both sides, so I'm just going to show you how to do it on one side of the bike. It's pretty straightforward. There's two clips that hold that air chamber in. You just depress the back of that clip and it'll slide out. Okay, guys, the second clip is just on the bottom side of that tube there. Same thing, just push in, slide that out. One thing to mention, they are the same clip, so you won't get those confused. Alright, so the next step in this is we're going to just pull this little boot off here. I don't know if you absolutely have to, but I pulled the boot off there. That way it didn't get hung up on anything. It just made it a little bit easier for me. So that just kind of slips off of there. That's clipped on a couple places. Just be careful when you're pulling that off that you don't tear anything. Alright, so once you have that off, there's a little grommet that rests down inside, and that's what mounts the front of that snorkel, we'll call it, onto the bike. And it's a simple process. You just want to slide that forward. They leave you enough room where those clips go to just slide that forward a little bit, and then once you get the snorkel as well as the air filter clear, it should just slide forward and pop out to the side like so. Okay, once you have that out, you are now ready to replace the air filter. Now this bike had K&N, so I went ahead and cleaned those up. Some other things you want to clean are the inside of those air intake snorkels. They get pretty dirty with dust and debris in there. So just take some soapy water and a rag, and you can clean that stuff out of there. For the trickier parts, since it does go from wide to narrow, what you can do is just put your rag in there and get either a stick. I use a screwdriver in this case, and you just want to take whatever you have and just push that rag down in through there, and that'll clean out any dirt or debris that might sit inside that snorkel there. So make sure that that's nice and clean before we put that back on. There's no sense in putting a dirty part where a clean air filter goes. Alright, once all that's cleaned up, we're going to go ahead and reassemble these air rams or air snorkels, whatever you want to call them. There are two posts that go into the rubber grommets. I like to use a little grease on the posts to help ease those in for a nice assembly. Make sure that they sit in there properly. I use synthetic grease myself. I don't like petroleum stuff because it wears out those rubber O-rings. So for me, I like a little bit of synthetic grease on there, and just a little bit goes a long way. Okay, so I'm going to show you now where that little rubber grommet goes. There's a groove there that sits inside a groove on the motorcycle itself. You just want to rest that in there and make sure that that's seated in there nicely and it's not going to go anywhere. And then that grease that you put on the post is going to help that assembly from pushing out of that recessed groove. So that's why I like to use a little bit of grease there. Alrighty, we also want to take a little bit of grease here, and we'll just, since there's only two clips, one on the top, one on the bottom, holding that air snorkel on, it's not really applying full pressure the whole way around there. So what I like to do is just put a fine film of grease around where that air filter sits. It helps seal the air box a little better, keeping a lot of that dirt out of the air box. So I like to put a little bit of grease around there before I set that air filter back in. It's something I like to do. You don't have to, but for me it's just that little extra protection. Alright guys, now that we have everything ready to go back together, we're just going to make sure that we have the correct size air snorkel, that it's on the right side of the motorcycle, and then once we verify that, we can take our air filter and drop it in. It goes in just like so, and it doesn't matter, there is no top or bottom to the air filter itself, so just drop that in and make sure it sits nice and flush. Once you get that in, just fish the intake snorkel between the fairing and the frame, and then you want to start to slot the actual snorkel into where the airbox is. Alright, and at the same time you're doing that, you want to make sure that you're lining up that front post with that front grommet. This is why we want to grease that, so we don't end up pushing that post out and essentially having no support for the front of that snorkel. Alright, and once we have that in, we can then come back and line everything up at the airbox. Make sure that we have a nice tight seal the whole way around. Make sure that that air filter is sitting in there nice and flush. And once it is, we can then take our clips, and when we install the clips, we're just going to install them between where the clip mounts, and we're going to sandwich the actual snorkel part up against the air filter housing, or the airbox housing. Okay, and it should make a nice solid click. Alright, when you put those in, I'll play this one here for you so you can hear a nice solid click. Alright, once that's in and everything's secure, we can then go around to the front of the bike, make sure that we put that little rubber boot back on. You just want to clip that the whole way around and make sure that sits inside there nice and neatly. Tuck it away, and then once you do that, the job is done. The process is the exact same thing on the other side of the motorcycle, so it's pretty straightforward after this. Again, to reinstall the bodywork that you took off, just again check out this video here, and then this job will be done. Alright guys, we put the new air filters in the bike, put the bike back together, reassembled it. Pretty simple job for somebody that wants to do that job themselves. There's no real technical, as you saw in the video. It's not really a technical job, so don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Replay the video back as many times as you need to kind of help you out. If I miss something, let me know. I can certainly go back and see if I can explain it a little better. But again, I'm Matt. This is MotoWorks. Thanks for checking out the video.